Hi and welcome to How to Use CAD. Still on details sections. Today's tutorial is focused on flat roofs. So we are going to create a details section for a warm flat roof. By the end of the lesson you should have a better understanding of the elements that make up a flat roof and be able to create your own details section for a warm flat roof. Again, you can see I did a little bit of preparation for us. So all the component parts are here. This is a pretty simple project, so creating a detailed section for a warm flat roof is reasonably straightforward. Let's have a look at the editorial here. So I left a few bits undone, so just to remind you what we need to be doing. So these are the component parts, annotations that we need to add into the section. So but I need to make a little change on each one. I've got to number them. I deliberately held back so that we could do that together. So some of these are multi-text and others are just plain text. So what's important, I suppose, for me to remember is that whilst yes, we're teaching you how to do a detailed section, we're also teaching some people about AutoCAD or TurboCAD, so that we need to, we're using different tools for different things here. So again, multi-text, where there's more than one line, or where the text is a little bit longer, it's generally multi-text. That's how it's put into the drawings. 0, 4. It's a little bit, and I find it a little bit clumsy to work with, but it gets the job done. I would like something copy and paste and pop it in easier, but there you go. That's just me. Depends on, I guess, on how much text you have to work with within AutoCAD or TurboCAD. These drawings, a fair bit of text, and this text comes from building regs, UK building regulations, so 06, so I don't just make it up. Right, again. Click off, click back on, and this one doesn't need a number. Right, we're done. Our text is ready, so it's a question of the elements. Right, so where do we start with? This is effectively a ceiling beam or a roof beam, so let's bring it in here. And what we do on a normal basis is we spread these around 400, in other words 400, what we call 400 centers. So one way of doing this now would be to, I can pick up on the center here, and show you an easy way of doing it. So I'm now using the parallel tool. I'm going to tab minus 400. Going the wrong way. How did I manage that? Tab 400. Tab 400. And we're going to do one more. Tab 400. Right, so 400, we call it 400 centers. Let's get this over into the middle a bit. 400 centers, so that's the end of your, what size is this? Probably it's 225, 220. It's about 8 or 9 inches. So the size or the height of this beam will depend on the roof span. So in other words, the wider the roof, the higher this will be, the thicker the joist. So again, you have to be able to work that out. The engineer should be able to tell you anyway, but eventually you get good at working it out. General rule of thumb is, I'm going to give you an example, and this is just a general rule. So let's assume I'm going to go inches here. Let's assume that was well, let's assume it was 12 foot. I'm going to go imperial for the sake of that. Let's assume that's a 12-foot span. You've got a wall here. You've got a wall here, and you've got a wall there. So that's your 12-foot span. And let me make this joist a bit more. Tab. This is not to scale now, this bit. I'm just trying to show you an example. So if those were your side walls and this was 12 foot, the general rule the engineers used to use for imperial, I was taught this when I was quite young, but the general rule is half plus 1. So if it's 12 foot wide, half is 6, and then plus 1, 7. So we would actually end up using a 7-inch beam here. A 7-inch beam. So if it was 10 foot wide, you go half, which is 5, and then add 1, 6-inch beam. If it was 8, it would be 4 plus 1, which means a 5-inch beam. So you get the drift. That's a general rule of thumb for the thicknesses of the actual roof joist. So now this is a roof joist here. There's the end elevation of a roof joist. So if we pop them in. There we go. Not sure how accurate these are. Just go again on that. Doesn't need to be that accurate, but it just needs to be reasonably accurate. Let me just rewind a bit there. Are they all the same? Are they all bad? They sure are. Right. So it's reasonably to scale, but it's not. That's the problem. You can see what the problem is. Right. Now that we've found out what the culprit is, get rid of the line, we don't need it anymore. And so we're going to do one more. Let's see, yeah, we're doing one more. So so these are generally spaced out 400 from the center here to the center there. Now that generally means that, and incidentally, all ceiling joists or floor joists are generally spread on 400 mil all the way along. Right, so now we've got the joists. Let me get rid of that. And first thing we want to do is we want to add a vapor barrier. Now a vapor barrier is, I'm going to put this line here. This line here. So a vapor barrier is effectively a plastic sheeting over the roof. You don't always have to do the plastic sheeting, because you can get a file-backed plasterboard. If you do that, if you use a file-backed plasterboard, then that'll do the job of the vapor barrier. Obviously it's a little bit more expensive to get the fireback plasterboard, but that is your vapor barrier. Now on the bottom of your ceiling joist, this is your kitchen or bedroom or whatever it is down there. Then what we want to do is, let me get this right, what we want to do is plasterboard. So I've made up some components here. So this is generally the plasterboard. We can chop all this later on. So now you've got a vapor barrier, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate these down a bit, meaning I'm going to explode them down a bit so that we can see there are different elements. There we go. I've got a bit of a cough this morning, but I tend to do these videos early in the morning. When I say early, we're talking about 5:30, 6. After that I have to get to work. Right, so now we have your ceiling joists, or your roof joists. We have a vapor barrier, and we have a plasterboard. And this is that's actually the easy bit. Now, so to create a fall on the roof, what we have to do is we have to put a fairing, and a fairing is, well, it's effectively, well, actually, let me show you what a fairing looks like. Side profile. A fairing will look like that. So what happens is that one gets screwed or nailed down to the top of the joist. So when we have our drawing here, we're looking at the end profile of a fairing. So fairing on top, a fairing on top of the joist. And what that does is it creates a fall for the rainwater. I think again I need to explode so that we can see, rather than join them together. So let's see if we can try and keep it nice and tight. Get a fairing on the top of each of the joists. Actually, I've forgotten, of course, we're not joining, we're going close. Doesn't have to be entirely accurate, and as long as, and the whole idea is we're communicating a design here, communicating the section, and by that I mean, yes, get them as accurate as you want, spend as much time as you want. But for someone like me who is effectively doing these for a living, I don't knock myself out, but I do make sure that the information is accurate, and I try to make sure that they look reasonable. But getting it millimeter precise, no, I don't need to do that. So I don't sweat on the absolute detail. Just get the essentials correct. Right, so now you've got your joists. Well, you got your plasterboard, you got your vapor barrier, you've got your joist, and now you've got the fairings. And this is the end of the fairing. They're normally about 50. They start at about 50 mil. You can get other ones 75 mil. So depends on the roof span. Again, the fairings. But so again, let's see. On top of the fairings, then, and we're going to do plywood. And plywood would be best represented with, let's see, 18mm plywood directly on top here. So I'm representing, and again I'm doing a spread. So that's 18mm ply. Again, we'll put in all the bits and pieces in later on. After the 18mm ply, we're going to put another vapor control layer. So might as well just copy that up. I think we'll thicken that up a bit so that we'll be able to see it better on the and drop that down. We'll be able to see it better when the time comes, when it's in a PDF. So right, let's do this a bit more. Okay, vapor control. So basically we're doing an exploded version, not making it into a sandwich. So there you go, you got plasterboard, vapor barrier, you got the joists, you've got the fairings, the ends of the fairings. We've got an 18mm ply. Bring that up again. Vapor control again, and now it's insulation time. And the insulation for most roofs, flat roofs, it sits on top. It sits on top of the roof rather than in between the joists. You don't need insulation in between the joists. That's the design. Okay, that's your insulation. So now we want again vapor barrier again on top. So effectively the insulation is sandwiched. There you go. The insulation gets sandwiched. I'll tidy up the ends in a minute. So then we're getting there. So remember, plasterboard, vapor barrier, joist, fairings, plywood, that's 18mm plywood, that's exterior plywood by the way, it's not the cheap stuff. And then it's vapor barrier, insulation, and vapor barrier again, so that it's basically sealed. And then on top of that we have the roof finish, and the roof finish, well not the roof finish, but the top timber. So the top timber again is plywood, but this one's a little thicker. This is 22mm. So here we go. 22mm. And you see we're getting there. We're progressively getting there. And after that, it's there are a few different ways of finishing off here, and the fiberglass resin is a very popular finish in the UK, but of course you can also use the rubber. Is it EDPM? That's what it is. You can always use the rubber. So the glass fiber is probably the most popular finish in the UK for a flat roof. Asphalt used to be very popular, which is basically tar melted over and then with chippings on top. But we're not doing asphalt this morning. We're doing, let's tidy up these now. So we're going for the glass fiber, yeah. That's the actual finish. and I'm trying to make my work look tidy here. So rather than chop, I'm just extending the necessary. Then we'll start putting in the little black balls and the notes that represent each element. I actually, this is quite therapeutic. I actually enjoy doing this at times, and well, most of the time I enjoy doing it. And the only times I wouldn't is when it gets a little boring, as in I've done too much of it, and I'm screaming for something a bit more creative to do. So we'll put one of these in at either end. I'll need to stretch it out a bit. Yeah, that's fine. It's not rocket science. Nope. I've gone and done that. I've gone and made life more difficult here. There we go. There we go. Right, so warm flat roof. It's generally over here somewhere. We'll do the decorative bit after a while. We'll tidy up on that. Right, let's get the descriptions done. So we can do some from the bottom and some from the top, I think. Then we've got an editorial which needs to go in somewhere, so we have to keep that in mind. I might just wrap that nice and tight and run it down the side, but we'll see. Right, so let's bring these over so we can see what we're dealing with here. Right, glass fiber. So I'm looking to see which ones I'm going to do from the top, and I think these two from the top, or these four from the top. Again, pop that up there out of the way. That doesn't need to be central. Those four and these two from the bottom. Now what might be nice is line this up reasonably accurate. But when you're designing these for yourself, you can fool around with it as long as as long as it's accurate. You can, the aesthetics. You can move get creative, move the editorial around a bit, and good luck with it. So, and of course, if you create something really nice, make sure you send us a copy. Send us over a copy, and who knows, if we really like it, then we might start using your design. Okay, so let's get some lines going here now. So the glass fiber, that would be here. So have I got a ball here? Yes, I have. For a moment I'm thinking, gosh, we've forgotten the balls. No, we haven't forgotten the balls. Right, so that's your glass fiber. To give us a little bit of space, I think what we can do is we can stretch this on over a bit. Right, that should last fibre. What's the next one? Celotex. Well, that's easy enough, isn't it? And then we're doing 4, so let's try and space them out. What have we got here? Tab 60. Tab 60. Tab 60. Right, so they're going to go down at various degrees. This is a guideline for down the bottom as well. So this goes to here. This is therapeutic, isn't it? I'm sure you're sitting at home now watching what I'm doing here. And you're kind of dozing off nicely. It's got that comfort feel. I'm hoping that's how it is, because that's exactly how it is for us at times when we're drawing. Get lost in your own little world. This one's decorative, right? Am I doing this right now? Nope. One was for here. Okay. Come on, Snaps, you can do better than that. Seems to have slowed down a little. I'm not quite sure what that issue is, but I'll address it at some point. Right, so Celotex. Well, now we need a little ball on the Celotex. But the Celotex is here. My ball is there. Vapor control there. I'm going to do 2, so that's your vapor control there, and then how do I express this? Well, just do it again. Yeah, it's not too hard to understand. And the external quality or similar approved. Right. That's the decking. It's the 18 mil. It's 18, in fact. Okay, so this one is on the 18. That actually should be 22. If my memory serves me right. So that's a slight mistake. I'm going to have to check on that, but I'm not going to do it now for the sake of the video. So here, otherwise I'll be gone, or I'll have to redo. So let's get another ball in there. I'll have to check that content, that's all, as to whether it should be 18 or 22. We generally use 22, and the reason for that is you want a board that's sturdy. And if you don't fancy using ply, then you can use interlocking board, which is 2.4 by, what is it, 2.4 by 600, and it interlocks, and it's the green one. It's suitable for the outside. But because it's interlocking, it means you don't always have to cut it over a joist and screw it down. But that works as well as the ply. Right, so getting there now. So we're going to use 2 here, and I want to continue this line or something very similar. Plasterboard over vapor barrier. That leave me a little, yes it did. So we also need one more vapor barrier here, isn't it? Well, it says it. Perhaps I don't need to do that. I don't need to do another black ball. Yes, the editorial will deal with it. Right. Okay, and the joists, yes. Here we go. This is a quick one today, so it's relatively simple. Right, so I can bring this up, I think. Bring it up a bit. Which means so all about the design, and as I say, the design element, it's up to you how you lay it out, as long as you can communicate it. As long as you're successful in communicating what makes up a warm flat roof, then you can redo it. You can use different colors and so on, different representations of the elements. It's all entirely up to you. That to me now is reasonably accurate, and we're almost there. So let's assume we just drag this over here, because I don't want it sticking up too much. There we go. Now we throw in a bit of decoration here, maybe from this one. This is a trench foundation one, and what we do is we take, we don't always start from scratch with the detail sections. We plunder or make detailed sections from other elements. So maybe another detailed section will have 4 or 5 of the elements that we need to create this detailed section. So we'll start off with that one and just copy and paste. So it makes sense to do it. Right, now let's have a look at this bit of text here. So if I go in a bit, let's just see what that will look like. I dare say go in a bit more. As I say, I do find it clumsy. Like, to move this around now, I needed to go back out again. Okay, I think that's actually quite reasonable. A little bit more space there than I need, so just move it sideways a touch. There we go. Warm flat roof. We around the center here? Yeah, we're around the center. Oh, we were around the center. Right. A bit of decoration. Again, you know, design it any way you want. There we go. And I usually throw a little cross or a little X in as a matter of no reason, just throw it in. And we're not using this little fillet. This is basically where the roof ends and starts to go up the wall. So if we were going up the wall, we would be popping that here, and then we'd add on blocks or bricks here, and we'd emphasize with a black wall, with a brick or a block wall, whatever it was going up to. I might as well leave it in, but I'm not going to put a description on it, so people will kind of understand. And if I extend this up a little, an emphasis. There's an emphasis that it's there's a bit of wall on that side. Bring it down just a touch here. We're just about done. Right, so let's do a little check on it before we wrap it up. Right, so one flat roof, that's fine. The editorial is fine, I know that. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4 on this editorial. This one could have come down just a touch. It seems to be up there. But yeah, I'm getting pedantic now where I'm finding fault. But it's good enough. It does the job. So I won't change it now. Yeah, it's like anything. I'd feel happier if these came down, and I'd feel happier if this moved. So yeah, you can move things around, and you can do it all day, going back and forth. But at the end of the day, that's a smart-looking detail section. One thing I would say is that I could move it just a touch to the right, and perhaps down a touch. There we go. And are we still reasonably in the center? No. So this bit could go just a touch to the left. Right, I'm happy enough with that. So what we've got here now is a detail section for a warm flat roof. And that's basically what you would put on a flat roof on a house, or a flat roof on a residential studio, or an extension. And as I say, the width of the roof will be determined by, the width of the roof determines the size of these joists. Yeah, so I don't put a size on the joists, simply because I'm letting you know that that's where the joists are, but I don't put the size on, simply because it means you can use this detail section for most flat roofs, and then if you want, you can add in the sizes yourself. But I think we're done. To me, that looks quite impressive. It looks quite smart. Now, I'm sure I've told you before, but we've got a website called detailsections.co.uk, and it's a new biz. And basically, all the detail sections, we've got about 1,000 detail sections, and a lot of them we're going to recreate so that they all kind of tie up and look good. And they all will be, become logoed and copyrighted and so on and so forth. So the idea is to put them all up on detailsections.co.uk. There you can buy them. If you're a builder, you can buy, or if you're a homeowner or a designer, if you don't want to make them up, if you don't want to make up the detail sections, probably the advice is make up the detail sections yourself for the most popular projects that you do. But as I say, we've got about 1,000 of them, so there'll be loads of detail sections for jobs that you won't be doing very many of, and perhaps it probably makes sense to buy them, because it'll be a lot cheaper than spending an hour or two creating them. So you buy them. And detailsections.co.uk. As I say, the cupboards are bare at the moment, but over the course of the year we'll be adding on all the detail sections we have. So don't forget to subscribe, and that way you get notified of each and every video we post. So thank you for joining us, and see you at the next video. Okay, bye.